Hey ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like it's been a minute since I've done a video like this, so I want to go and talk about the juicy stuff. Let's talk about weight loss and drinking and brunch and all the really good foods and the cocktails and all the things, and how can you possibly have it all? How can you possibly live your best life and all the things, all the drinks, all the things, and still actually like how you feel in your body, and maybe even, God forbid, make progress toward your weight loss goal? It's an elusive thing, being able to do all of those things all at the same time. So let's break it down a little bit into seasons. I made a post earlier this week on Instagram, saying, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a live on this topic. And then I had a client reach out and she gave me such a good idea. She's like, I would love help navigating these situations in the various seasons. Because she knows, because she's a client, you can't diet forever. You have to have times of your life when you are not dieting for your diet phase to be effective. That is a different topic for a different day. So if you want some more information there, you just let me know. But we're specifically talking about how to navigate social situations that involve drinks and brunches and all the things and weight loss goals. So you want to navigate these situations with a little bit of a delicate hand, and it depends on what season you're in. Are you in a weight loss phase? Are you new to it? Are you just kind of getting started? Are you in the thick of it? Are you maintaining? Are you reversing? There's a different way you want to approach situations depending on the place that you're in. So first, let's just do a little blanket assessment on how to navigate social events. You cannot expect to go into a social event, go YOLO, just lose your shit, drink everything in sight, eat everything with reckless abandon, and then have zero negative repercussions. That's not what happens. That's not what we're going to talk about here. So if that's all you're really hoping to hear, you can just tune out, because that's not what I'm going to say. You have to be aware of your actions and be realistic about the outcome of said action. So if you're going to a social event, regardless of what phase you're in, you are going to be faced with a choice. The choice is yours and yours alone, whether you have a coach or not. When my clients say, hey, can you help me navigate this? I typically throw questions right at them. They tell me how they want to navigate it. Then I put together the game plan. So basically is, do you want to stick to your program or not? Neither is the right choice, neither is the wrong choice. And it can change depending on the weekend, the event. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to have the same approach going into every situation the same time, or every situation like one after the other. You can navigate each one differently. So you need to first say, do I want to stick with my program? Is my program counting macros? Do I have a step goal? Am I training a certain way? And do I have a water goal? Do I have a fiber goal? Are we looking just at calories? Are we counting just whatever the things you're looking at, whatever things you're doing? Are you going to do the things? Do you want to keep it in check? Are you sticking to the plan and you feel good about it? Don't be one of those people that sticks to your plan and then resents it the entire time you're there, and it's like, oh, I can't have that. Oh, my coach said I can't have that. Don't be a total party pooper. Don't be a Karen. And if you chose to stick to your plan, that was your choice. Or don't go the other way and say, I'm actually not. I'm not going to stick to my plan. And I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to exercise some flexibility here, work with my coach, all the things, a shameless plug, but don't do that. And then the whole time being like, I'm going to be so fat tomorrow. Also don't be that Karen. Make a choice that you feel good about it, and then just kind of do that because you chose it. No one forced you. No one is going to, when you walk into the door of a restaurant or a party, body slam your ass to the ground and shove food and drinks in your mouth. I promise. If that's the parties you go to, you might just want to reevaluate your social circle. Food for thought. But that's not going to happen. It is your choice. So you first need to say, do I want to stick to my program really closely, or do I want to exercise more flexibility? If you choose to stick to your program more closely, track your macros or your calories or whatever it is that you're doing, then you need to make sure once you've made that choice, you've made that choice with the realistic expectation that you can do that and it go well. If you're going blind into a party and you have not eaten all day, there is no chance macro tracking or whatever you're doing is going to go well, because you're going to be very hungry and you don't know what food's going to be there. So if you decided, I'm sticking to my program, you need to either know the menu of what thing is going to be there when you go, whether it's a party or you need to have looked at the restaurant menu ahead of time. Know there are things there that can set you up for success. Or, I know, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it. It is your responsibility to bring what you need. If it is that big of a fucking deal to you to crush your nutrition and your macros that day, and you're maybe going to like a tailgate or something, I mean, it's football season, what's up? Then it's your job. If you want like 1 or 2 seltzers and then you want to have like a lean protein and you want a big salad, that is no one's responsibility other than yours. So if you've made the choice to stick to your program, then you need to set up your environment so you actually have a shot. Don't decide to stick to your program and then expect it all just to kind of work out, having planned out nothing, and then get there and then lose your shit when you can't stick to your plan because it's your responsibility. On the other side of the thing, if you decide to like, you know what? I am not going to stick to my program. There is no chance in hell I'm going to be able to track macros. I'm going to be tailgating all day. My team is playing. I'm so fucking stoked. Or, you know, the holidays are coming and it's going to be like the holiday work party because we haven't had one in forever because of fucking COVID. And you're like, you're so excited because your coworker makes the best dip, whatever. If it's going to be one of those, then don't track. It's going to be an oppressive thing in that situation. And the whole point of going is to have fun. So then you need to shift your brain into mindful mode. You can make really solid choices that don't result in you taking 6 steps backwards in a weekend. You can. You don't have to. Not being on your program doesn't mean you have to go backward. You can be like, I'm just going to press pause this weekend, have a great ass time, and then slide right back into my groove when the weekend's over or when the event's over, and then I pick up right where I left off. That's what you want to do. You don't want to go backward when you're doing like a social situation, drinking, brunch, all the things. So if you have decided to track your macros and stick with it, then when you're going out to eat, you need to realistically stick with something that you can eyeball and track. Don't get like this like gloopy soup or lasagna or a casserole and then you're sharing the tapas and there's no way in hell even the best macro tracker could tease out what the hell you just possibly ate. If you're going to track your macros, you should probably just do something that you can realistically eyeball. You know, like the go-to skinny bitch, like grilled chicken salad, please, like dressing on the side. You know, we've all played that card. That's easy to log. Or, you know, like a grilled chicken sandwich, some fish, some vegetables, and a potato, rice, like a sandwich, even like a burger with a more fatty cut of meat on there, a little bit of bacon, some cheese, like whatever you choose. Make sure you can either itemize it out or the restaurant does have nutrition. It can be way off if we're being realistic here, but it's close enough to keep an eye on it. So if you've decided to track your macros, you've got to stick with things that you can actually track. That's the whole point. Don't make it much harder than it has to be. And then your drinks need to be well controlled. Either you're not drinking or you're having, you know, the vodka soda, the like whiskey diet, the glass of wine, something that is really easy to track because you know what's in that glass, not like the like ambiguous like blue crushed fizzy pop thing and you're like, it looks like toxic waste but I'm sure it tastes delicious. Don't get that because there's no way you can track that. You have no freaking clue. So if you're going to track your macros, show up and do that. So only pick that avenue if you have a shot at success and it's not going to make the whole night make you a complete pain in the ass to be around. Do it if you feel good about it. You can totally navigate the macros and have a great time with your friends. That's kind of the whole point. But then there's going to be the other flip of the coin. Kind of the pictures I've been showing on my Instagram stories or Instagram feed lately is on Mondays, then Josh and I are holding drinks that look like toxic sludge. They were so good. It was at Mellow Mushroom. They had this drink. It was like the Golden Goose or something. There's like turmeric in it, some pineapple, like whatever. It was really good, and we have now single-handedly bought every ingredient that was listed on the menu to try and make it at home. Our drinks kind of taste like garbage, so working on that. But it was my anniversary weekend, so I was not tracking macros because I didn't want to. It would have brought nothing positive to that situation. So drink what I wanted. I ate what I wanted. Another post I made on my stories, like we literally were eating like lobster stuffed mushrooms, a lobster roll. My brunch was eggs Benedict on top of fried green tomatoes with crispy potatoes, and we started with biscuits. We just ate them so quick I forgot to get a picture. It was so good. I could not. How the fuck would you track macros for fried green tomatoes with egg yolk with crispy potatoes and biscuit? Like, sauce, goop, avocado, all the shit everywhere. On top of drinks, you have no idea what's in. Same thing with like, how the hell can you track a lobster stuffed mushroom and like stuff? There's just sauce and cream and all these rich things. I knew macro tracking was not going to be welcome on that trip. So I wasn't trying to track macros, nor was I trying to take like 15 steps backwards. I could have been a complete asshole and ate and drank my face off, come back, and some of that weight would not really come off because I'm not dieting right now. But I came back pretty close to the same. Like, oh my God, the scale was up 2 pounds. 2 pounds after that weekend off. Oh my God. So then could have done one of two things. Do what I know works and just let it slide off and get back to normal, or freak the fuck out and set myself up for failure by slashing calories, doing cardio, burning out, then going into binge mode. I did option one. I got back to normal, and that 2 pounds just slides off, and I get back to pretty much where I am right now. So when you flip the script and decide to not track macros, and you're just trying to be mindful, you want to really be intentional about this. You want to kind of give yourself some limits. If you're going to be drinking a lot, you probably shouldn't have dessert. If you are going to be eating a ton of stuff, you probably should have small portions if there's a bunch of restaurants that you want to try. If you're going to be drinking, you should always hit your water goal. Hitting your water goal is never something that you should just skimp on when you're traveling. That's always going to be important. And bring things with you. So I had in our room jerky. I had every bar that I brought had a good amount of protein in there, and I had protein powder. So before we went out to dinner and like we're traipsing around and walking around trying a bunch of different breweries, I think I put 2 full like scoops of protein powder in water, shook that up and just slammed it. Because I was not going to be that hungry, so I wasn't going to eat like a bunch of shit that I really didn't want anyway. I was going to choose things that were worth it, and I knew I got a good bit of protein in that day. With water. Haha, see how it can go hand in hand? So you can be mindful about your choices that you can control, so that when you're out, all you need to do is rely on your hunger cues. So I really work with my clients on kind of setting a scale. Let's say 0 is you are so hungry, you'd eat your best friend, and you really wouldn't feel that about it. You are snarling. You are so hungry. 10 out of 10 is like that Thanksgiving full where you're pretty sure gravy's going to start coming out of your nose and you don't really have room to even drink water and you're like, oh, fuck, I did it again. We don't want to go there. Extremes are bad, especially for like a weight loss journey or just being mindful of your physique. You don't want to get so hungry. You don't want to like save all your calories for what's going to happen later in the day, because then when the later in the day happens, you're going to be so hungry. You probably had a drink or two. Inhibitions are going to be lowered. There is no stopping you. Having done it wrong myself many times. So don't let yourself get below like a 3-ish. 3 is like that sweet spot. You're going to be hungry for a meal and it's fine. Don't get below that 3, because then you're so hungry, you eat so fast, you overshoot. Not what you want. But then stop eating around like a 7. You don't actually have to be stuffed. There's a difference between being satisfied and, I am full. Don't get there. When you get that, I'm getting awful full and tired, it's only going to get worse, because there is that delay from stomach to brain. We all know it. So stop around a 7. I have my clients hang between like a 3 and a 7. Be mindful. Don't drink just because everyone else is. And if you want it, go for it. Don't eat it just because it's there. Choose what you actually want. It was cool. I had a client, she was like, I always go to my in-laws and like she makes this like certain like kind of spread. And she's like, there's always these rolls there. And she goes, I just take them because they're there. And she's like, I don't even like them. Like her rolls kind of suck. She goes, I love the mashed potatoes. So she's like, I went there and I didn't have the rolls. I just had some mashed potato and it was great. I'm like, beautiful. Did we track our macros on the mashed potatoes? No. But she was mindful of her hunger cues and what actually sounded good in the moment. And that way we're able to navigate those weekends, not take 6 steps backwards, and then go right back into the weight loss program when you actually have control. So when you are completely stepping away from macro tracking, just keep your wits about you. I have a couple clients that we do like intention setting, literally in the morning, put pen to paper, write it out. Like often on vacation, what is the point? Are you going on vacation to get lean and shredded? Probably not. You're probably going on vacation to have a fucking good time, de-stress, relax, let your hair down, have some fun, drink something, have some good food. None of that means you have to turn into a complete asshole while you're there. So maybe in the morning, you write the daily intention, like, I want to enjoy myself today, but in a way that I still go to bed tonight feeling good, not uncomfortably full, and I wake up tomorrow feeling good, and I can actually go on a nice long morning walk. You can be very mindful of the choices you make now and how they're going to impact you later. So setting a daily intention and keeping yourself honest to hunger cues is a really good way to enjoy those things that aren't conducive to macro tracking and really not be any worse for it. You just have to pick, are you tracking or are you not? Which kind of comes this full circle. What I talked about earlier is it depends a lot on what season of your diet you're in. If you are in diet mode, especially if you've been dieting for a while, macros are getting a little bit lower and you're in the throes of it. It has to happen sometimes. If you have physique goals, sometimes you got to just suck it up and do it. And that's fine. Has to be a short-term thing. But when you are in like full-on diet mode, you probably want to lean on making macro tracking easier than harder most times. So would be choosing the grilled chicken salad, the sandwich that has like the burger patty, or, choosing, a piece of fish with a pile of rice and some vegetables and a glass of wine, things that you can actually track and keep tabs on. It's going to be more important when you're in diet mode because you have fewer calories. So for example, let's say you went, 500 calories over. Percentage wise, it's going to be a much greater percent that you ate than compared to someone who's in maintenance mode. They have a lot of calories to play with, and it's not going to be as big of a deal if they have those extra 500 calories because it's a much smaller percent of their overall daily intake. So when you are in the throes of like a deep diet mode, you want to be very choosy about when you don't stick to your program. And when you decide macro tracking is not welcome at that situation, it's okay to have those. You need to have those. It is human to have times like if your best friend's getting married, you should probably not be tracking macros. You have other things to do, and that's fine. But if you know your best friend's getting married and you have an event coming up that you are not going to be tracking macros at, and that's what you're doing for your diet plan, and you know what's coming, but then leading up to it, you have maybe a couple work happy hours or you have other opportunities to forego macro tracking, you should probably step up and control what you can and track when you can because you know you have an event coming up that is worth it to step away. You have to be much more choosy of when to push the gas on macro tracking and when to let off when you're in diet mode because you have more specific goals that you're chasing. When you are through the reverse diet process and you're kind of just chilling at maintenance, where I've been for a while now, which is a glorious place to be, is you don't have to walk that line so delicately. You can spend more time away from formal tracking and just rely on your hunger cues and genuinely what actually sounds good in the moment. Being mindful, sticking with those hunger cues, of course. And it's not as big of a deal because your calorie budget, if you will, is so much bigger that you're not going to be exceeding that budget by a significant amount as compared to when you're on lower diet level calories and macros. So you are so allowed to take a step away from your program, not track macros. Even if you track macros, I said it, oh my God. But you have to know when you gotta rein it in sometimes. You can't take every weekend off and expect to make leaps and bounds of progress forward. But you can't also expect to never take a weekend off and feel good about the diet strategy that you're using. It's walking that line delicately, which is why it can be really helpful to have someone objective, like a coach. Shameless plug, again, just saying. But to help you talk through these things, like, is this worth it? Should I track this weekend? It's like, well, you've been on point for the last 5-6 weeks. Why wouldn't you track this weekend? Just go have a great time. Be mindful, drink your water, bring protein, and just go have a great time. Let your hair down, and then come back refreshed, rejuvenated, and we dive right in. Or someone else who's like, I have really been bumping the social life lately, and I have a couple more things coming up. It's like, okay, which of those are worth it? And which of those, do you really not even like that person, but you just kind of have to show up to that birthday party, make an appearance? Then that's probably not something that's going to be worth it to forego your goals for in that moment and press pause. So not tracking macros doesn't mean you're giving up on your goals. It just means that you need to use a different strategy. You need to use a different tool out of your toolbox in that moment that lends itself to you feeling successful, like being mindful of your hunger cues and drinking water and maybe setting a limit of how many drinks you're going to have. So you should be able to step away and not always have to order the thing that you can easily track macros on. And then you do just have to rein in yourself in regards to exercising self-control around portion size and things of that nature. But when you choose to track and step away, should directly correlate with where you are in your program and what else you have going on. Usually the decision that you need to make doesn't just impact that one moment. You should forecast. What do I have coming up? And what have I just been through? Take a really big picture scope, like leading into that weekend where I went to Asheville with Josh and I drank all the things and I ate all the things and it was fun and I don't regret anything and it was totally fine. The few weeks leading up to that, I tracked every weekend because I'm like, I have a fun weekend coming and that's worth it to me to be able to completely step away. And it was easy for me to track because I didn't have as much going on and I did what I needed to leading up to it to feel good about stepping away. I wouldn't have felt as good about stepping away and leaning on just hunger cues if I had taken the past 6 weekends off in a row. So big picture thinking, and this can be really helpful, especially with the upcoming holiday season. It's going to be a lot of Friendsgivings and maybe work parties, COVID, whatever. But like, there's just things. The holiday season brings a lot of things, and I will be releasing a holiday kind of like survival guide. I did one last year, but I have so many more ideas, like better ideas, really fun. So I'm going to revamp it. That'll launch eventually. I have to actually do it. But you need to be able to pick and choose for yourself when you do want to step up and say, you know what, I don't want to forego my goals. I am going to track. I'm going to be mindful, limit myself to a drink count. I know what's going to be there, like you know the menu ahead of time, and plan it out and execute and feel good about it. So those times when you aren't going to, because it's so worth stepping away, you feel really good about it. It's a balancing act and it's different for everyone in every situation. So that's really what I wanted to cover today with you ladies. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I am live right now. So if you have any questions now, this would be a really good time to start typing. And if you watch this after the fact, always leave a comment below and I will address them as they come in. But just because you track macros doesn't mean you always track macros. And just because you never track macros doesn't mean you can't. Sometimes it's about applying the tool to the right environment in a way that you feel good about and setting yourself up for success in that moment. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope you're having a great day and well, I'll catch you later.